Hello, and welcome to my presentation this year. My name is Scott Zemerick, and I am presenting on the Lunar Environment Monitoring Station for Artemis 3, LEMS-A3. I'm a member of the JSTAR team, the John McBride Software Test and Research Team at the NASA IVNV facility, and we specialize in digital twin development for NASA systems. This presentation will be a specific use case of LEMS-A3 and our use of digital twins to perform flight software design, development, and testing using a customized version of NOS Cubed. So a little bit about JSTAR, the John McBride Software Test and Research Team. We are a team at NASA IVNV that has significant experience developing digital twins for NASA launch vehicles and spacecraft. Our digital twins are utilized for risk reduction testing, and we perform a significant amount of simulation and software services. Some of the missions that we've supported over the years with our digital twins include Europa, Roman Space Telescope, the SLS launch vehicle, Psyche, James Webb Space Telescope, and our largest digital twin to date is Aristotle, which is an all-digital emulation and simulation for the Artemis missions. Aristotle is NASA's only all-digital environment for performing Artemis flight software testing. So we as a team, when we talk digital twins, I like to define that for a second. Digital twins mean to us that we model the avionics, we model the command and data handling system, the flight computers, the buses, whether it be SpaceWire 53, for example. So digital twins to us mean that we are modeling at the FPGA level so that the flight software can be dropped in and run unmodified. Our team's mantra is to be able to drop the as run flight software into our digital twin and have it execute, thinking that it's running on the actual spacecraft or launch vehicle while it's in operation. So one of the benefits for digital twins is that they will shift the software development lifecycle to the left, and they really increase the test resources and opportunities for the entire mission. And we've written a couple of papers and have actually gathered metrics on this. Our findings is that if you plan to use a digital twin from the beginning of the project, it can help shift your life cycle to the left. You get finished with your flight software development and testing sooner in your life cycle because you are not constrained with hardware constraints. You don't have to wait for hardware to be procured or delivered or installed. You can develop significant levels of fidelity and for models of that hardware and develop a digital twin while you are in flight software development mode. This then allows you to write and test your flight software before the hardware test strings are made available. For one of our small sets that we did, we were complete with the flight software prior to going to environmental testing, which is unheard of at the time. If you'd like more information on this, refer to this publication at the bottom of the page, the NASA Operational Simulator for Small Sats, NOS Cubed, the STF-1 CubeSat case study. So this presentation is about a specific project where we utilize a digital twin named LEMS. LEMS is ongoing environmental testing right now. It is the Lunar Environment Monitoring Station. It's a mission from Goddard Space Flight Center, and it is a compact, autonomous, and self-sustaining seismometer suite that will be deployed to the moon with Artemis 3. It's designed to carry out continuous day and night monitoring of lunar seismic activity and store that data and then report it back. So it is targeting the Artemis 3 mission. Astronauts will deploy it on the moon. It's self-powered and self-managed. So we are developing the flight software to be completely autonomous. It will handle all of its activities itself with very little ground activity and very little ground commanding. It will be producing science observations continuously, both day and night. It is fully autonomous. It is one of the first Artemis missions, and thus it's a pathfinder for astronaut device deployment on the lunar surface. So that's really huge. This will be one of the first scientific instruments that has been deployed as part of the Artemis program. The data retrieved will be analyzed by scientists to characterize the structure of the local crust and mantle based upon the seismic activity on the moon. Not since the Apollo days have we captured seismic data from the moon. So this would be a huge step forward for understanding the seismic activity that's ongoing on the lunar surface. This is an artist concept of an astronaut deploying LEMS. You can see the seismometers at his feet, and over to the right, you see the unit. Just gives you an idea of how it will be deployed. The nominal science operations, I'm not going to go into all the detail on this, but this shows you that most of the time the flight computer is asleep. The flight computer will wake up, it will copy data from flash, it will compress it, and then it'll prepare it for downlink to the Earth. And so that's the primary operations of the payload or of the flight computer on this particular project. Physically, it's the size of a very large suitcase. Notice the handle on the top. This is how the astronauts will carry it and deploy it. Seismometers will then be detached from it. And right now, LIMS is in environmental testing. It's a little bit about the avionics or the compact or the command and data handling system. It is an RTG4 FPGA with a soft CPU being a Leon 3 inside. It has 16 gigabytes of flash for data storage. It has 16 megabytes of RAM and 1 megabyte EEPROM. We are running RTEMS 5.1 and CFS Draco RC4. So this is the proc. This is where the flight software will run. In addition, LIMS has a hibernation management system known as the HMS. The HMS is a Goddard developed system that will perform all of the data capture when the processor card is turned off. So most of the time the processor card is off, it's the HMS that is performing the data capture. And the HMS system operates independently from the proc. The proc does not have to do anything in order for data to be captured. So a little bit about the flight software. So we are in a unique situation here where the JSTAR team is developing the flight software and the digital twin for LIMS. And so we're seeing both sides. We have the opportunity to develop the digital twin at the same time that we are developing the flight software. So the flight software is Class C. It's not safety critical. We're running CFS with standard heritage CFS services and applications. Commanding and telemetry are your typical CFS standards. We are adhering to NASA standard 1006A for authenticated commanding, and we are utilizing our open source CryptoLib library that provides a CCSDS standard way of implementing encryption and authentication commanding. So if you'd like more information on CryptoLib, go to GitHub and look up CryptoLib. Here's the logo right here. And that's how we're integrating authenticated commanding into the system. We will also be implementing fault detection and correction on top of our flight software with CFS. We'll be looking for the typical applications such as CPU hogging, uploading of applications, and watchdog monitoring. Seismic science data will be transferred from LIMS to Earth using CFDP Class 2. So a little bit on the architecture. So on the left, you see the ground software. It has your typical components, such as scripts, operations, command telemetry databases. For operations, we're utilizing the AMOS Instrument Toolkit, AIT, and Morehead State University is the Mission Operations Center. And so they are handling the ground system here. As part of the DSN network, Morehead is well equipped to be the mock for this particular system. The flight software, you see the flight software stack on the right, has the processor card, CFE, CFS, your typical software stack running on top of Artemis, and this is implemented into the FPGA along with its firmware. Give you an idea of which CFS apps we're using. It's the standard apps. We also have some new apps for our subsystems, the electrical power system, the hibernation management system, the PROC, and the Iris radio. These are new apps that we have developed with some previous heritage from a mission named GTOSAT. You notice the use of cryptolib for the authenticated commanding here, and this is the bulk of the new software that is leveraging GTOSAT, but also modified significantly for this project. Worth noting is new for this mission is the STIM-2 compression. So STIM-2 is the preferred and best compression method for seismic data. And so we are doing a STIM-2 compression on orbit, which is really cool. This may be the first time a STIM-2 has been done on a mission or on a mission of this size. So as I mentioned, we are using the Iris radio. I'm not going to go into all the detail on its architecture, but if you take a look at this slide, you see that the Iris radio communicates over a SPI bus, serial peripheral interface, and our flight software uses the Iris app with various pipes to handle the incoming and outgoing data. So data is uplink from the ground, and then it'll pass through cryptolib to be authenticated and then be published on the CFS software bus. And then any telemetry, any data that we want pushed to ground, including CFDP, will go into a telemetry pipe and then ultimately be downlinked. So the title of this presentation is about digital twins. And so we started with our NASA operational simulator for small sats, NOS-Cubed. NOS-Cubed is open source. It's available on GitHub, and it is a virtual spacecraft. Also, you can think of it as a virtual flat sat. It includes out of the box flight software, CFS, F prime. It has multiple ground station supports, and it also provides dynamics and visualization. Out of the box, it provides a core set of component simulators like GPS and magnetometer, IMU, EPS. However, we have customized these for the LEMS mission. So we have essentially taken NOS-Cubed and customized it for LEMS. So NOS-Cubed is now a LEMS virtual flat sat, and that's how we use it. We use it to test our flight software. We use it for unit testing. And it has been extremely helpful to really get the foundation of our software long before our hardware has been available. So we developed some of the models that are on the LEMS spacecraft, and then we have a full virtual digital flat sat for LEMS that we're able to run CFS and do development down to such as the SPI bus layer. So we're using the same hardware calls for our drivers, like the SPI bus or the I2C bus, that we'll also be doing on flight. So we have an abstraction layer in NOS-Cubed that allows us to do that. So if you're interested in NOS-Cubed, check it out on GitHub. Note that we've recently had a name change. So it's now the NASA Operational Simulator for Space Systems. We have found that when we started about 10 years ago, the small sat world really benefited from NOS-Cubed. There was nothing like this for the small sats, 10 years ago. But now with the popularity of small sats, we're really seeing a lot of people use NOS-Cubed for other purposes, for other spacecraft that would really not be considered small sats. And so we have broadened the scope of NOS-Cubed, and it really is meant for all space systems. A little bit on the roadmap. We're actively developing NOS-Cubed. We are moving toward a complete container deployment, which we really are just about finished with at this point. Note that NOS-Cubed is a great pathway to on orbit for experimentation. So if you have a particular technology, maybe you have a machine learning algorithm and you'd like to raise the TRL, then integrating it in NOS Cube gets you a very flight-like experience and a flight-like integration without having to take it to space. It's the next step in your TRL climb as you show maturity and build out your system. So NOS Cube is used by many people as a pathway to on-orbit experimentation and maturity. So a little bit about how we brought LEMS and NOS Cube together. So as I mentioned, NOS Cubed in our case, we've customized it to be LEMS virtual flat sat. And so we developed specific LEMS simulators, mission customization. So anyone can take the open source NOS Cube and customize it for their mission. For example, we have a Iris radio, an Iris CFS application. These are not open source. These are customized for our mission. We have our own single repository. So we've essentially cloned NOS Cubed and then customized it to our needs. And our development workflow is that, and this would work for anybody. You can take NOS Cubed, you can clone it, you can check out its sample app and its sample simulator, and then you can develop your own simulator and your own apps to begin your own development for your mission. And so NOS Cubed is meant to be a reference architecture. It has a lot of tools that it comes with, and you have the freedom to pick and choose which tools that you want. Also, we'll say we've significantly increased the documentation, improved it over the past year. This slide shows a little bit about the integrated LEMS development environment in NOS Cube. So you can think of this slide as taking the ConOps from your mission and implementing it in NOS Cube. That way you can test your own mission ConOps in a NOS Cubed environment. So we now have the LEMS ground station software running in the loop. We use NOS Cube for LEMS unit tests and integration tests. Operations testing, we have commissioning scripts and we have nominal spacecraft operations. And what you see on the right is our state diagram for LEMS. It moves through communications, await, commissioning, launch crews, phases. And we've implemented these in NOS Cube. So now our NOS Cubed is able to run through the LEMS ConOps. And so anyone who wants to do this can take NOS Cube and customize it for their mission just like we did. So that's where we'll stop in this presentation. If you'd like more information, feel free to reach out to me or Justin Morris at the NASA IVNV JSTAR. Our team specializes in digital twin development, and we're also actively developing the flight software for LEMS, which is an extremely cool mission. I'm really looking forward to getting it deployed on the moon. Thank you very much and have a good day.